All right, let's dive right in. We're going to be talking about a massive shift in how software gets built. It's a whole new idea that's rewriting the playbook for the entire SaaS industry. And it all kicks off with one simple question.
So, have you felt it? That feeling that the ground is just shifting under your feet when it comes to tech and software. If you have, you are definitely not alone. The way we create and use our tools is going through this incredible transformation, and it is happening right now.
Think back just a few years ago. The software as a service world was a total jungle. There were countless tools that all kind of did the same thing: project management, CRMs, marketing stuff, all of them fighting for your monthly subscription. It was complicated, it was often super expensive, and it forced you to stitch together like a dozen different apps just to get your job done.
But that whole world is changing, and it's thanks to this new approach we're going to explore today called vibe coding. Now, I know, the name might sound a little bit out there, but it actually does a perfect job of capturing this revolutionary shift in how we create things. So, what is vibe coding really? Well, it's an AI-first way of developing things. Instead of you meticulously writing lines of code, you just describe the intent, the vibe, if you will, of what you want. The AI takes that description and translates it into a real, functional application. It handles all the nitty-gritty stuff, from the database to the user interface. We're moving away from worrying about syntax and just focusing on our goals. And look, this is not some theoretical, far-off idea. You can use a real, practical prompt, just like the one you see here. Instead of having to hire a whole team of developers, you just give the AI a clear instruction in plain English describing the app you need, and the system just gets to work building it. It's pretty wild. But let's be super clear here, this isn't magic. It's what we call intent-driven automation. The AI is simply interpreting your goals and using all of its training to piece together the right code and components. It's a lot like prompt engineering, for an image generator. But instead of getting a picture, you're generating an entire application. Okay, so now let's get into why this is such a huge deal, why it's a major disruption to the industry. This shift from giving instructions to just stating your intent has these three really profound effects that are changing the entire software game. First, and honestly, this one's the most dramatic, is the speed. It is just mind-blowing. What used to take months of painstaking coding, which then became weeks of configuring complex no-code tools, can now be prototyped in a single afternoon. All it takes is a few well-written prompts. This completely flips the economics of launching a new idea on its head. The second big disruption? The cost. That prototype that once would have set you back tens of thousands of dollars can now be built for less than $50 a month. Seriously. This isn't just a small step forward. It's the democratization of creating software. It puts these incredibly powerful tools into the hands of anyone with a good idea. And third is something called adaptive intelligence. See, unlike the static software we're used to, these AI-first tools actually learn from you. They analyze your data, your patterns, and then they start suggesting better workflows and automations, so the tool adapts to how you work, which completely reverses the old model, where we had to adapt to the tool.
Okay, this all sounds pretty amazing in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in practice? Let's take a look at some of the real-world tools that are making vibe coding a reality as we speak. This here is just a quick snapshot of the ecosystem that's popping up. You have tools like Hosting or Horizons, which is amazing for non-technical founders who want to build an app in like under 20 minutes. Then there's Jasper AI for marketing, creating landing pages, Zapier AI, which builds complex automations from a simple sentence. And you see tools like Notion, ClickUp, and Loom are embedding this AI right into your daily work, summarizing meetings, flagging risks. The sheer number of ways this is being used is just incredible.
So, if you only remember one thing from all this, it's this fundamental shift in how we relate to our software. For decades, we, the users, we've had to learn all the weird quirks and limitations of our tools, right? We've had to force our work into these rigid, predefined boxes. With vibe coding, that whole relationship gets flipped upside down. We just say what we need, and the tool builds itself around us. That, right there, is the core of this whole revolution.
So what does this actually mean for you? For your business or for that next big idea you have? Let's break down the practical, real-world impact.
The winners here are pretty much everyone. For startups, it means you can test an idea for under $1,000 instead of 50 grand. For small businesses, it's finally a chance to escape SaaS sprawl, that nightmare of managing and paying for 10 different subscriptions, by just building one custom tool that does exactly what you need. And for the big companies, it lets teams build the internal apps they need without getting stuck in a long line waiting for the IT department.
Now, of course, it's not without its challenges. The upsides are huge. I mean, faster iteration, lower costs, personalized workflows, that makes up most of the experience. But you do have to be aware of the risks. An AI can still misunderstand a really complex request, and it absolutely requires a human to oversee it, to check for accuracy and security. It's an incredibly powerful tool, but it's not a replacement for good old-fashioned critical thinking.
So where does all of this leave us? Well, after looking at these tools and seeing their impact, the conclusion seems pretty darn clear.
Vibe coding isn't just some passing fad. It feels like the natural evolution of software development. The competitive advantage is no longer about who can afford the most subscriptions. The real advantage now goes to the people who can build their own intelligent, adaptive systems that are perfectly tailored to what they need.
And really, this brings us to a whole new world. We're moving from being just consumers of software to being creators of software. The barriers to entry that used to exist, they've practically vanished. So the only question that's left to ask is the one right here on the screen. What will you build?